All right, so hello and welcome to this video recording, and we're just gonna go straight into it for this morning. I don't want to spend a lot of time. So, I was supposed to drop a few content that was yesterday, which is Thursday. But I ended up spending hours just working on the content and working on the preparation of the content because it takes a lot of time, and it went from being a video that I wanted to make to more of like a series, and there's like parts. So I had to spend literally hours trying to figure out the arrangement of the series, the structure of the series, and essentially it is a series on my model. And I wanted to teach the model before. I talked about this model that I wanted to teach before, but now it's gone from like just one video to like a more comprehensive series, which is gonna be uploaded to YouTube. And yeah, I'll make it available, and I think it's gonna be only dropped on the weekends, so that way it does not affect our weekday schedule where we're focused on the market, because on weekends we're not focused on the price action. So I'll pre-record them on weekdays and then I'll drop them on weekends. Hopefully you guys are not mad at this, but I feel like that's the best way to go about it. So that way you guys can focus more on actual price action and market flow on weekdays, and then on the weekends we focus more on this model where I essentially will teach my model, go through losses, refine, and it's gonna be its own separate series. It's gonna be its own thing, just like we have the Lazarus program, and we have which is like an advanced course, and we have the price action model. This is the Darwin program, and this is the program essentially is teaching my course, right? Teaching my style of approach. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because this is most likely, almost guaranteed, even though my mom's saying not to do it, but this is most likely my final year running the Discord and everything. So I want to make sure that it is content that is out there, and it is also content that I can utilize in the future for, to reference in the future for whatever purposes. But right over, let's just get straight into price action so far. Now, this week has been absolutely abysmal, one of my worst weeks in a really, really long time, which, again, that's expected. Not expected, but that is something that can happen in trading, and that's something as a trader you have to come to accept, that it can eventually occur, and you have to learn how to deal with it. Now, the one thing I don't like though was the fact that we took three losses on Wednesday. I would have preferred if it was just two, and then we had the one from yesterday, and we had like three losses, and it was just a cumulative of like 2% in total. But again, we'll leave and we'll learn, and I've done a lot of journaling, which I will, that's my own personal journal. Again, I'm gonna review the trades, but this is not the video for that one. This is more of a market analysis, market flow video, right? So going forward, whatever trade I take, I don't care if I take 10 losses back to back, my risk would remain halved, half of a standard. I am not going below half of a standard. And so I am currently down like minus 2.5%. Not like, but I'm actually down minus 2.5% so far this week, which is insane. Now, of course, if you measure it out to previous weeks, it does not even come anywhere close. But I have a huge ego, personally, right? And it's terrible performance from, which is a good thing to have actually, because now it forces you to want to learn from mistakes and improve. So I don't think I would ever get rid of that character trait anytime soon. But you know, going forward, if you also take the same traits, or you are also affected the same way, then that would be the best approach for you. And also, this is a person taking for myself. So yeah, I'm going to half my risk. I'm not, again, the other thing that people traders tend to struggle with, especially when they go through a period like this, is that they tend to lose confidence in themselves. They also tend to lose confidence in their model, and then they tend to deviate slowly. And when you start to deviate from your approach and your model, this is where you start to essentially go off track, and it becomes easy to blow accounts. And this is something a lot of people deal with. They will go through a string of losses, and then they just lose composure absolutely and go into a tilt. And this is something you're going to have to learn to deal with, because the reality of what you're doing is that you're going to go through a lot of periods like this. Now, of course, you have me, so it's going to be less. But if you are trading personally, you're going to go through terrible periods like this. And then the question is, how do you deal with periods like this? Because it's easy for you to have faith in myself and my abilities in trading. Of course, I don't care. I don't care about this week's performance in the grand scheme of things, because I've massively overperformed. I could end trading so far this year, and I am really, really good. But I have a goal. Of course, you guys already know, 7-figure goal. And also, I am running a Discord, and I want you guys to learn from my own lessons, my own trades, my own approach, how I deal with situations like this. And these are the really key moments, because the one thing you need to understand and learn is when you go through situations like this, a lot of people would tend to lose faith in themselves. That's the first. Not even losing faith in the model, but losing faith in themselves. And one thing I like to liken what we do to is I like to liken it to sports, right? So if you look at the more successful athletes in their own sports, they all go through periods where things are not really clicking for them. Of course, they're the GOAT. Think about LeBron, for example, or Cristiano Ronaldo, for example, or Lionel Messi, for example. If you consider their careers, you're going to see that there were so many points in their careers where they went through a drought. And the one quality that always stood out to me from studying these people and also being being a fan of the game, is how they keep going. They're so resilient. Like, they don't. It's like they don't. You're not aware that they're going through a drought, right? They just keep going and going. They don't care. They just continue to push and push and push and push and push. And I think this is one of the reasons for their success. And this is also quality or a character trait that you need to have. It is essential as a trader to have that character trait where you are so solid in your belief and you continue. Of course, your risk has to adjust, but you continue to follow the model and you don't let anything get to you mentally, which is something a lot of people are dealing with. I'm sure you're maybe watching this video right now and you're expecting me to tell you some sweet things that would maybe ease the pain or whatever. No, okay, you have to think like you are at the top level, okay? You have to move like you are at the top level, because eventually you're going to get to that level. If your belief is solid enough, if your faith in yourself is strong enough, and your faith in God is also strong enough, then you know eventually you're going to get to that level. You have to become who you want to be. You have to start to practice. You have to start to leave and move the way you want to be, the way the dream version of yourself wants to be. So the question that, or what I like to pose to people is, if you thought about the dream version of yourself as a trader, who is that person going to be? These are the characteristics or the character traits that you need to start to embody. These are the character traits that you need to start to express. Okay, I already have them. Like, I don't have issues, but I want you guys to get to that level. Even though you're not at that level yet, maybe you're not funded or you still struggle with funded accounts or whatever, you would not graduate. And the one thing, if I look back throughout my journey and my career as a trader, the one moment that actually stands out to me as a moment in which it transformed me as a trader was this one time. I've done a video on YouTube where I talked about alter ego as a trader. And there was this one time, I think I was listening to an interview from Kanye West. No, it was Kobe Bryant, not Kanye West. It was Kobe Bryant, and he was talking about the Mamba mentality. And he was talking about how when he went on the court and he had a game and he had to go on the court to perform, he had to zone out from being Kobe and try to mentally get himself into a mindset of being the Mamba mentality. That's where the Mamba mentality came from. Right? He had to embody a different personality just to perform at the highest level. And that was the one thing that really changed the game for me as a trader, because after the interview, I asked myself the question, okay, who do I want to be? What would the dream version of myself as a trader be? And I had to write, literally, I wrote everything down. This is also where I started to develop Darwin, where I started to talk about evolution and change and growth. This is where it all came from, right? It came from a moment where I was looking for answers to my questions, and then it clicked. Okay, if I want to get to this level, then I have to start to become that person. Okay, and that's how you essentially move quicker to goals and stuff. If you want to manifest the things you're looking for, you have to start to act, live, and breathe like the dream version of yourself that already has those things, would act, live, and then breathe. Okay, and so you have to essentially role play. It's like role playing. That's what you're doing. So immediately when you step on the charts, there's a mindset switch. Like it just flips, and you're locked in, and you are thinking and acting from the perspective of someone who's already made it. And that's what I've done. And because I've gotten so used to the role play, it's become natural and it's become my reality. And again, it looks as if I'm talking a bunch of jargon, I'm talking a bunch of nonsense, but it's the actual truth. And I'm not trying to hold back anything from you guys. This is the truth, and this is what's actually worked for me. So, okay, so we have this week has been really, really terrible in terms of an economic outlook. And of course, because the market has met a long term level. I already talked about how whenever we trade into long term levels like this, it can become a really low probability. And do tend to struggle. Again, this is not something I've hidden. I've always openly admitted that in conditions like this, I do tend to struggle. Now, of course, I could have mitigated the losses a little bit, but that's what it is. If we just go on to the daily time frame. Now, what I do like with what we've seen so far is how we ran above the highs from last week Thursday. So this is a daily high here. Not a daily swing high, but a daily high, because this is the week of this candle. So what I like is the way we ran above that high into this down candle, which is a bearish order block. Now, if we switch this onto the lower time frame, you can see that it was simply a run up into this fair value gap from Wednesday last week. All right, so we have a fair value gap there. We have all of this buy stops, and then the market runs up into the buy stop. Now, if we talk about can we get down here tomorrow or today, I am not so confident, or I'm not so sure. But what I do want to see though is that we get down below the swing low from Wednesday, and down into the fair value gap from Tuesday. Right, so that's what I want to see. I want to see the market get down into the fair value gap on Tuesday. Now we do have retail sale numbers in pound, and my expectation, like I mentioned, at the start of the week was anticipating weakness in pound, and I already explained from a daily standpoint that I wanted to see the market run lower from this inefficiency and trade down below so down here, and so far it looks like it's doing so. So you can see here we have a run on this daily high. Okay, trades lower, market trades back up into bearish order block, bearish delivery. Yesterday barely any volume. I do expect to see more sponsorship on the downside today, right? So you can see it's just been a lot of back and forth manipulation. We've had a lot of manipulation and buy sell liquidity, which is why I do think at the news at so this is I think 2 a.m. Eastern time. I do think we're gonna be running for sell side liquidity, just a bunch of massive sell stops down here. So I do think that the market's gonna run down there, which should really help with bullishness on cable, as we are bearish on DXY, right? So that's what I'm looking for. Again, if I'm going to go and trade in the morning, then of course I'm going to go with half risk throughout until I recoup, or I recoup my 2.5% deficit loss, which if I can get to really nice trades, then I would have done so and be back in profit. And again, it's that easy, but a lot of people overcomplicate it with fear and panic, and they just make things worse, and they go on a tilt. And the problem is, once you go on a tilt, there's no coming back from it, right? And this is the main thing you need to avoid, right? So now the reason why I'm still bearish in DXY and I still want to see the market go down into this fair value gap and below sell stops is because of what we've seen so far in T-bonds. So again, I already mentioned at the start of the week that I was bullish on T-bonds, and I want to see high prices on T-bonds, which we have seen and do continue to see so far. You can see we're running higher on 30-year, 10-year, same thing. 5-year, also the same thing. So we're running higher. So that has not changed so far, right? And which is why I do think that all of the upside we saw on DXY it's just a run stops, and I think the market wants to sell off. All right, because if you look at the overall profile, you can see we have this run and buys liquidity, run lower, but we have a consolidation here. So this was the last major high prior to that massive drop on Monday. So of course, there's going to be a lot of buys or liquidity resting up there, which the market did trade up into on Wednesday, and now we're starting to see lower prices. Now, I would not expect the market to lose its efficiency. I would want to see us trade within this bearish order block and then sell off from there. So my current sentiment or expectation is that we sell off from the bearish order block into this fair value gap. Now, the reason why I'm choosing this fair value gap is because it is just underneath this sell size. I don't think the market is just going to run below the slowdown here and then reverse. I think it's going to run. Actually, let me check if this is recording. Okay, it is. So I think it is going to run, take out sell stops, and then trade down here. Now, are we going to get down here? I'm not so sure because it is a lot of range to cover, but I do at least want to see the market from this. I don't want to see trade up above this high, right? So if it is going to be high probability going into London session, because I'm going to be looking to go long on cable, which I'll talk about shortly, then I do not want to see the XY whatsoever lose these two up candles, which is bearish order block. And I want to see trade out here. So I'm going to be up really early. I'm going to set alarm so I can just be on the charts for London session. All right. So so far we're seeing that rally in T-bonds. Now let's go and take a look at cable, because this is where I have my focus on. If we zoom out to a daily time frame narrative, you can see in cable we have this old inefficiency, weekly high, and then rejection block. And now if we take it to the left, you can see here we ran on a retracement basis down into that the first of that inefficiency on British pound. Right now we do have some redelivery balance here, which I don't necessarily need to point out because we already have the benefit of this inefficiency here. All right, but what I do like though is how yesterday's candle traded up above this down candle, thus validating this as a bullish order block. So I don't want to see the market rally for buy stops, which is a rejection block, and then these eyes up here. So I'm going to be looking to position myself for one session if I get the chance. Now what I have here, what I do like on cable, is how we ran into this inefficiency below sell stops. I don't think we're going to lose the slowdown here. So what I expect is accumulation inside this breaker block. All right, because you can see we have this, or it's a pseudo breaker block, because we don't trade below the wick of this candle, but we do trade below the bodies of the candle. So that is a rejection block, right? So you can see how the market runs lower and then displaces higher. So that is a stop run. So this is a pseudo breaker block. Now we have an inefficiency here. I don't want to see the market trade into this inefficiency and bullish order block. And the reason why I am focusing specifically on this down candle is because that is the candle that precedes bullishness. Like I've taught you before, you look for the candle that initiates the one-sided displacement or the one-sided expansion, which is this candle. So I would be looking for lower time frame price signatures to form inside this 1 hour bullish order block, and then, you know, looking to continue to buy up into equalize and cable. So that's what I'm looking for. I'll just go down here so you can see where you're trending down there. So inside that 1 hour bullish order block, again, it's all time dependent because I cannot really predict how Asian session will play out and how the trades will form. But if you look closely at this price action inside that 1 hour bullish order block, let's actually go down into the 5-minute time frame. So if we look closely at the M5 price action, again, I am more focusing specifically on this 1 hour bullish order block. So I don't want to see the market lose this on a closure basis or closing basis. But just inside that candle on the M5 time frame, I do like the idea of this down candle. And the reason why I do like the idea of this down candle is because you can see order block with fair value gap. So that shows that there was a lot of sponsorship from this candle here. So if I move it like this, I would expect the market to want to trade down there, look for some kind of signature and not lose the order block, and then rally and go for equalize up here. All right. So first target objective I do think we're going to see a lot of bullishness on the pound, and I do think we're going to be able to at least take out these eyes. Euro, I'm not so sure. Okay, I'm not sure of Euro's ability to get above this high here. This high, for sure, it could do it. But this one, that's way too far. But you can see the amount of willingness we've seen so far in cable, and I do think that that's what we're going to see in cable. That is going to trade down there and then run up to this high here and then this high here. So that's my current expectation for Friday. Now for you as a CAD, I would not touch this asset at all. Okay, it has been a really frustrating asset. I would not touch this at all. I do think it could even actually run massively higher because of all of the consolidation we've seen so far underneath sell side. So I would not trade this one at all. For Aussie also looks really good for high prices. So if you go out on a daily time frame, you can see we have the concept encouragement of the wake of this breaker block, right? So it would make a lot of sense because we already traded down there on Wednesday, and then we had a stop run on Thursday, and then exploded higher. So I would think that we should revisit this high, and then this is where I think we're going up into overall. So if we don't get up into that, which I don't think so, of course we're not getting up there this week, that would be something I'll be aiming for going to next week in Aussie. Right now, the other one I wanted to talk about, not necessarily ESGPY, because ESGPY, relatively speaking, not a good asset to trade. Number one. Number two, if you look at the lower time from target objective on USGPY, it is a high resistance liquidity run. So of course, that's not something I want to be trading. Okay, so not a good pair to trade. ESC chat, relatively speaking, you can see we had a little bit of downside on the XY. We're not seeing that same downside on USC chat, so this is not an asset you want to trade. That's not a pair you want to be trading at all. So this looks like. And then the other one I wanted to talk about is gold. Okay, now if we go and take a look at gold, what I like in gold is how we ran below this major. So we had a run higher. You can tell we ran below that low, swing low, and then displacement trades down into fair value gap. Displacement obviously lower time from order flow is bullish. I would like to see continuation higher in gold. I would like to see go higher because we've seen all of this retracement would have sucked out all the buyers at the start of the week in gold, all the people buying up gold because of the rally they saw initially. Now they're trapped, they're stopped out, and then I think the market is primed to see a little bit of upside. So my main focus for London session is cable I'm looking for. So going into London session, as long as we're still within this bullish order block, then I'll be absolutely looking to buy cable, target this side here, so it could something like this. Again, I'm not saying you just go and blindly buy, of course. I'm saying you hunt for your model. If you see the market trading inside this order block, or if we trade down there and we've seen a bounce, then that would be something to absolutely look out for. All right, so an idea of what the trade will look like would be something like this, and targeting this high here. So a nice 4-5 hour, especially if we go on the lower time frame and then refine. It could be easily be a 5 or 6 hour trade where you just wait for the market to trade down to your level and then you buy. All right, and with the expectation that we don't want to see the market trade back down below this low here because of the stop run, and then that should be a really nice trade for the buy side liquidity. All right, so I'm going to keep this video short. I don't want it to be way too long, and I will visit you guys later in the morning. In the meantime, trade. So again, remember, only if we are around this level and we've not lost the level. If we lose this level prior to London session, then there is no trade, right? As long as we're still around this level, then that is absolutely perfect for our expectations. All right, so I'm going to leave you guys here, and in the meantime, trade safe.